He preached to millions about honesty, integrity, and standing for truth. Then his mugshot hit the internet, and instead of owning it, he looked his audience in the eye and said, "I was never arrested." The booking record said otherwise. On the afternoon of March 3rd, 2026, a man walked into the Wilson County Jail in Lebanon, Tennessee. He was photographed. He was fingerprinted. His intake time was logged at 12:52 p.m. He was released 6 minutes later at 12:58 p.m. on his own recognizance. A criminal misdemeanor charge, driving on a suspended or revoked license, was officially entered into the jail's records. By nightfall, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office booking record was public, and the man in that record, the man with the mugshot and the charge, was one of the most recognizable, most controversial, most unapologetically loud pastors in America. Pastor Greg Locke, founder of Global Vision Bible Church in Lebanon, Tennessee, a man with millions of social media followers, a man who had stood at a pulpit and declared himself a fighter for truth, a warrior against lies, a no-nonsense preacher who doesn't back down. Within hours of his booking record going viral, Greg Locke got on Facebook and said the 4 words that sent the internet into a tailspin. "I did not get arrested." The booking record, which is a public document which contains his name, his photograph, his charge, and his release time, disagreed. So what actually happened? Why does it matter beyond the obvious comedy of a pastor denying a mugshot that the whole internet can look up? Let me tell you the full story, because this moment, small as it sounds, is actually a window into something much larger and much more important. In part 1, who is Greg Locke? And how did he get here? Greg Locke didn't grow up with a silver spoon. He grew up as a ward of the state, literally a child of the system placed in the care of Good Shepherd Children's Home in Tennessee. That's where he met Melissa Biggers, a staff member there who would become his first wife. They married in 1995. They had 4 children together, 2 of whom were adopted. That backstory matters. Because the Greg Locke who went viral wasn't born with a platform. He built one, slowly, with a genuine working-class authenticity that resonated with people who felt left behind by polished megachurch Christianity. By 2011, his Mount Juliet Church had officially separated from the Independent Baptist movement and rebranded as Global Vision Bible Church. Locke began posting videos online, and he quickly discovered, by his own admission, that the controversial stuff really drove traffic. That sentence, uttered so casually, is the key to understanding everything that followed. His first viral moment came in 2015 with an angry response to the Supreme Court's decision on same-sex marriage. Then came a video criticizing Target's bathroom policy in 2016. Then he fashioned a Bible to a baseball bat and demolished a pink dollhouse on stage. He released a rap song under the name Rev Rhymes. He spent 4 days in a scissor lift to raise money for homeless people. He was, as one writer put it, a pastor with a flair for the theatrical. And it worked. By the mid-2010s, Locke had millions of Facebook followers. His tent church services in Lebanon were drawing thousands. His name was known across the American evangelical and political right. But then things got complicated. Not all at once. Slowly, the way things always do. Part 2, the controversies nobody wants to read. In order, here's what makes the mugshot moment so loaded. It didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened at the end of a very long trail. The divorce and the remarriage. In January 2018, after 21 years of marriage, Locke announced from the pulpit that he and Melissa were separating. The divorce was finalized in May. Within the same year, within 4 months, he married Ty Cohen McGee. She had been his administrative assistant. She had also been Melissa's close friend. Former church members who had defended Locke publicly through the separation, people who lost friendships by standing up for their pastor, later said they felt used. One woman wrote publicly, "I lost friends because of my defense of Greg in the church. When allegations of his infidelity surfaced, I defended my pastor." She said she was subsequently banned from the church's Facebook page. COVID, QAnon, and the Capitol. When COVID-19 hit in 2020, Locke didn't just resist closures. He called the pandemic a hoax and told anyone who came to his church wearing a mask to leave. He promoted QAnon narratives from his pulpit. He hosted pro-Trump events at the church and pushed the Stop the Steal campaign after the 2020 election. He was present at the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. He had encouraged his congregation to travel to Washington, D.C., and was scheduled to speak at the Ellipse before the riot. He ultimately did not speak there, but he delivered sermons near the Capitol steps during the events of that day. Afterward, he condemned the violence, but claimed without evidence that it had been instigated by Antifa. He also, in 2022, claimed that children with autism were under demonic attack. He led his congregation in burning books, including Harry Potter titles, Catholic rosary beads, Pokemon cards, and Dungeons and Dragons materials. He held what he called a witch hunt, identifying alleged witches in his own congregation. The money questions, then came the financial questions, the ones that tend to follow ministries when fame outpaces accountability. In late 2024, Locke announced the church was trying to purchase a new property for $5.5 million, but needed a miracle. The building fund was $5 million short. The deal fell through. Around the same time, he had purchased a $1.6 million personal home. Some members and online observers began asking whether church funds had been used for the personal purchase. Locke denied it, saying he used book proceeds. But Wilson County property records listed the home not in his name, but in the name of Global Vision Bible Church. Then, in October 2024, during a heated service about church finances, Locke told questioning members he would refund their donations if they doubted his stewardship. And some donors actually requested their money back in writing. His attorney sent letters warning that there was no verbal contract, that no refund would be issued, and that the church would aggressively defend all of its interests under Tennessee and federal law if pressed. Read that again. A pastor publicly promised refunds, then threatened legal action against the people who tried to collect. The staff walkout in December 2025, just 3 months before the mugshot, pastors Justin and Casey Greenwell publicly resigned from Global Vision Bible Church. They had sold their house in Indiana, moved their entire lives to Tennessee, and taken staff positions at the church because they believed in Locke's ministry. In their resignation letter, they described the church as operating under a culture of hierarchy and emotional manipulation. They said there was no functioning board of elders, no shared governance, no structure where correction was even possible. They described an atmosphere where disagreement felt dangerous. They alleged Locke's wife Ty played favorites among staff, openly repeatedly, in ways that left others isolated and demoralized. Casey Greenwell described it plainly. This has become about people as assets, not as children of God. The people have become assets to move the machine. Locke's response, he threatened to sue them. That's the trail. That's what came before March 3rd, 2026. Part 3, the mugshot, the denial, and the legal reality. Now let's look at exactly what happened on March 3rd. Because the details matter, according to the Tennessean, Locke was stopped on February 10th at a gas station on South Mount, Juliet Road. During the stop, officers discovered his driver's license had been suspended. Not for something dramatic, but because he had failed to file proof of insurance connected to a court case in Lebanon from April 2025. Instead of being physically hauled to jail on the spot, he was issued a state criminal citation, which in Tennessee means you are formally charged with a criminal misdemeanor, but allowed to book yourself in voluntarily at a later date. That's exactly what he did on March 3rd, walking into Wilson County Jail with his legal counsel, completing the required booking process, getting fingerprinted and photographed, and walking out 6 minutes later. Here's the legal reality that Locke's Facebook post conveniently glossed over. According to the Nashville law firm Writings Law Group, many people wrongly assume a criminal citation is not an arrest. Their published guidance states clearly, if you receive a state criminal citation in Tennessee, law enforcement has charged you with a criminal offense. You have, in the legal sense, been arrested. You are simply permitted to book yourself rather than being physically taken in. Greg Locke, a man who has spent years telling the world to stand up and speak truth, no matter the cost, responded to this by writing on Facebook, "To everyone jumping on a silly bandwagon, I did not get arrested today. Or ever. I went to the booking room voluntarily with my counsel because my license was unknowingly suspended over not sending in proof of insurance after I paid a ticket months ago. It's seriously not a big deal. I have a court date on March 23rd to prove that I did and do have insurance. Simple as that. Doesn't even go against my record. Just something else for people to talk about." There's a lot to unpack in those few sentences. Let's go slowly. First, I did not get arrested today or ever. The booking record says otherwise. The legal definition says otherwise. Being permitted to self-report does not erase the arrest. It is, in Tennessee law, an arrest. Second, unknowingly suspended. This is the most credible part of his statement. And worth granting, he says he paid the original ticket, but failed to follow up with proof of insurance. That's plausible. It's also very human. Paperwork slips through the cracks. That part most people can relate to. Third, it's seriously not a big deal. And here's where we hit the actual problem. Not with the charge, but with the response. Nobody was asking him to wear sackcloth over a paperwork issue. The issue is that a man who built his entire brand on uncompromising truth chose to use technically misleading language to describe what was legally an arrest. He could have simply said, I made a paperwork error. I went to sort it out. It's handled. Instead, he went on the offensive. 2 days later, the license was reinstated. He announced triumphantly that the horrific crime of insurance paperwork has been atoned for. He called his critics silly busybodies. He framed it as a victory. The words were vintage Locke, combative, dismissive, technically half true, and missing the point entirely.